Y'all bow with me. Gracious and good, kind Heavenly Father, again we come asking you to forgive us of our sins, to say thank you, to ask you to lead us and guide us, give us wisdom, give us patience. Let us do things that please you. Forgive us when we don't. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Mr. Hightower.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Page 2, fifth up from the bottom, HB 916. Mr. Chairman, this is the bill that I just talked to y'all about in caucus. This goes after different state agencies and prevents them from holding different providers to a zero tolerance on clerical errors.
No questions. Good bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Beskin.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I have two bills today, both on page 3. The first, under structured rule, is House Bill 766. This is two small provisions regarding applications for homestead exemptions. One is to clarify any spouse, the definition of who is a spouse entitled to apply for a homestead exemption. The other is a cleanup regarding the ability for partially disabled veterans to apply for a homestead exemption. My second bill on the top of page 3 is House Bill 959, and that's the annual Title 20 Education Cleanup Bill provision. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
No questions on either bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Price.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have for you this morning, once again, House Bill 897 under modified structured rule, about 2/3 of the way down. This is the bill for, sorry, I get my right thing out here. This is the drug repository program that is being resubmitted. It passed a couple of years ago. It will be under the Department of Public Health this time, and this is to save on drugs that otherwise would go to waste, and there is a private entity that is happy to take this on and can make it profitable.
Any questions? No questions. Next bill.
Second bill is under structured rule, House Bill 939. This is the cleanup bill of House Bill 1000 from 2014 that established the previous bill, tax intercept refund that goes to the AOC in the event that someone has an unpaid fine. And you had a question yesterday about appeals, and in the pilot program there have been no appeals, that all the fines have been valid and a good number of them eventually paid.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. On the last page, 3, House Bill 980. This is the what I call the elections bill, moving the elections for municipalities up to the 3rd Monday in August instead of the last Monday, to remove a large lame duck period for even-numbered years, those in putting elections in even-number years. It opens up the qualifying as well for 2 additional days if a municipality has nobody qualified for an open seat. And this bill does not affect consolidated governments, and the GMA supports this bill.
No questions. Thank you. Mr. Barr.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Fifth up on the first page, H.R. 900 simply lays out the rules under which we would send folks to the assemblies of state legislatures. It's a group that has been meeting for several years and looking to become a little more legitimate. So we're putting in some rules on how we send delegates.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tanner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Page 2, about middle ways down, modified structure rule, House Bill 806. This is a Department of Driver Services bill that would make all driver's license renewals for 8 years, and it would also set a statute of limitations so folks would not have their driver's license suspended when tickets were sent in a untimely manner.
No questions.
Thank you.
Mr. Gravely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Last page, first bill under structured rule, House Bill 216. This bill simply allows a firefighter who has been diagnosed with cancer the ability to demonstrate in a workman's comp claim that the cancer, with medical evidence, could have been caused by fighting fire.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Bentley.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Rules Committee. I bring to you House Bill 860, modified open rule, first page, midways, HB 860, and it simply deals with allowing individuals that want to run for the position of coroner who've received a pardon and had their rights restored by the parole board, Georgia Parole Board, the opportunity to run for the position of coroner in the state of Georgia, only if they've had their rights restored, received a pardon by the Georgia Parole Board.
Mr. Knight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious, though, as coroner, where does their association stand on this?
The Coroner Association, from my understanding, will support this piece of legislation if I add the Sheriff Association to the bill, and I'm not willing to do that. I want to keep it simply to the position of coroner. I believe putting sheriff in it is going to make it more controversial and not a good bill.
Okay, and I just heard from several coroners, and they've got concerns about this because the situations and particularly the circumstances that they're put in to make calls as far as the death, does it need autopsy and situations, they've got some concerns regarding this bill. So I have a few concerns.
Mr. Powell. No. Ms. Dempsey. Okay.
Yes, this way. Good morning. I've also heard from a number of coroners, and they expressed that they wanted everyone in the state to be able to run, not just sheriffs. So can you tell me who else is allowed to qualify for office and run within our state?
From my understanding, if individual who's ever been convicted of a felon, had their rights restored, received a pardon by the Georgia Parole Board, is eligible to run for any public office except for coroner and sheriff. That's my understanding.
Could you possibly check that and get back to the committee with that information? Because, I think it's concerning.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
No more questions. Thank
All right, and thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Rules Committee.
Mr. Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Bring before you, under modified structured rule, House Bill 838, with respect to minimum compensation for health insurance agents. This is back before you with slight changes to the individual side of this. It would lower the individual compensation for service rate down to 4% versus 5%, and it would also remove the compensation during special enrollment periods.
Boy, that's a real good bill. No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for consideration.
We'll just come when you want to, seatmate.
Well, I came one time and you weren't here, so I left. Excuse me.
What'd you do? Come last night at 6:30?
No, I came at 9 o'clock. I looked up there and I saw Representative Ramsey and I was just early, I guess. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring to you House Bill 773. This bill raises the bond limit for the Georgia Housing Finance Authority to $3 billion. the state of Georgia has no financial obligation. All these bonds are guaranteed by the federal government, and through these bonds, we've been able to provide housing for 44,000 people since 1976, and this bond has not been raised since 1993. And you know as well as I how the population of Georgia has really exploded since 1993. And I ask for your consideration, Mr. Chairman.
No questions. Next one.
Are there any questions? Thank you.
You're not through.
Oh, okay.
Under open rule, H.R. 979.
Oh, no. Oh, on the upper, okay. I wasn't going to ask for that. I thought I'd just ask for one, but I'll ask for both of them. Okay, on upper roofs, house
I got a good idea.
Okay. I can't put them together. It's a different subject matter.
Right. Let's you and I make a deal.
Okay.
You go ahead and present that one, then you don't have to come back.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This House Resolution 979, this I found out about being over the budget for public service, that there was some money for reading to the blind in public service. And over the summer, this past summer, I tried to locate all the places in over the state agency where it was reading to the blind, and I ran into some obstacles. So I'm asking if we can have a study committee to find out all the many, many places reading to the blind is at state agencies, and if they need consolidating and updating. I asked for a study committee on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any questions?
There's no questions, y'all. Believe it or not, this lady takes real good care of me.
Thank you.
Ms. Scott.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Have House Bill 913. This bill is asking for a female veterans coordinator for the Department of Veterans Affairs. It is on the first page, 7th from the bottom.
Is it not true, Ms. Scott, that in the budget we have put the money in the budget for this program?
Yes, that is true.
Ms. Dempsey.
Just to clarify, in the language of the current budget, we designated that they could use existing funds for it because they are already providing these services. So it's not an add in the budget of money.
Is it not true that in the budget it doesn't stipulate a female?
It does stipulate female. It does.
It does?
It does, to work with the female veterans population in the 17 budget.
No more questions.
Thank you.
Members. Mr. Rice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name beside Representative Tanner's bill, HB 806, which is the DDS bill and the driver's license expiration date bill. And Mr. Speaker, we have, I called you Mr. Speaker a couple of times now, I'm sorry. Mr. Chairman, we have the ladies from the Executive Committee of Mothers Against Drug Driving in the audience today. In honor of them, I'd like to ask for HB 205, which is the DUI reform bill.
Mr. Weldon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask for House Bill 605, which is under modified structure on the second page, approximately a third the way down from the top. This just gives a formula for giving credit for part-time service by judges that are in the judicial retirement system. Doesn't have any impact on any other retirement system or plan that we have in the state, just JRS, and this is sort of a unique situation where we have part-time judges serving, and then later on they move up to full-time. And I appreciate your favorable consideration.
Let me have one. On the fiscal note on that, what did the fiscal note say?
This is it's fully funded. It's not something I don't think that has any physical impact. Let me just look at it again, Mr. Chairman. I don't believe it has. This just gives a way to calculate what's going to be how they're going to get credit for previous part-time service. And then in the letter from the Department of Audits, I think it's one back. Is it one back? No. It just gives a formula for computing the credit that they get, and it just uses the 24 months of their highest earnings during that part-time service. It doesn't have any physical impact on that.
Mr. Setzer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask for HB 770, Representative Estration's bill dealing with sexual trafficking of people with developmental disabilities. This is something the committee spent a lot of time working on in non-civil. Would also ask for HB 905, Representative Ballinger's bill.
What was the last one, Ed?
770, Representative Estration, modified structure.
Okay.
And then 905 in a modified structure.
Mr. Stevens.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put my name beside H.R. 502, Representative Welch's bill.
Mr. Knight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name beside two bills. The first one is HB 916, Representative Hightower's bill, senseless clawback of funds for clerical errors. It's costing our communities a lot of money. The second bill is Representative Beskin's bill, HB 766, regarding the homestead, both of those dealing with our veterans.
Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name beside your seatmate and my good friend, Representative Houston, which is House Resolution 979 and the House Bill 773. Thank you.
Ms. Ballinger.
Thank you, Chairman. I would just like to ask for HB 905, makes children safer. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. A. Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask for 948 again. This is the raising interstate compact fee from $25 to $100 to make it more cost efficient to the taxpayers of Georgia. I'd like to ask for House Bill 949 again. This is one that puts the second stage of the P-card, credit card transaction for ethics in government to be sure that local elected officials and employees aren't using these financial instruments for their own personal gain or to put personal purchases on there. And I'd also like to add my name beside 980 that Mr. Spencer is so gracious to help me with, a municipal election bill for GMA.
Mr. T. Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name by two bills. Representative Hightower's bill, HB 916, which is a good anti-bureaucracy bill, and also Representative Tanner's bill, HB 806.
Ms. Abrams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to request HB 913 under modified open rule. Given the increased number of women veterans coming back to Georgia, this is an opportunity for us to provide the singular service that they require. And I'd also like to ask for HB 6 on the second page under modified structure rule. Thank you.
Ms. Hughley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask for House Bill 497, the state surplus property bill from Representative Stovall, and House Bill 542, the higher education savings plans bill by Representative Wilkerson.
Mr. C. Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Page 2, third from the bottom, House Bill 943, dealing with contracts for engineers and architects, dealing with indemnification clauses from a broad form to a limited form. There's been no opposition in subcommittee, full committee, and it passed out of full committee yesterday.
Ms. Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to put my name also by House Bill 916, the Pharmacy Audit Bill of Rights. It's on page 2, fifth and bottom. And then up a couple, I'd also like to put my name by House Bill 897, which would allow us to recycle unused drugs to use with our most needy citizens.
Mr. Smith.
I'd like to put my name by House Bill 770 on modified structure, and also House Bill 943 on modified structure. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Mr. Harrell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a bill on the floor today, House Bill 792. I'd like to move pursuant to Rule 33.3 that we limit debate on House Bill 792 to 30 minutes as allocated by our Speaker.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Motion to limit debate to 30 minutes or to an hour, allocated 30 minutes on each side.
Apparently, I found out this morning I can do it to 30. Again. Okay, we have objection. All those in favor of limiting to 30 minutes, raise your hand. If I can get the front row to listen up. Wendell, raise your hand. Those opposed, please. Okay, I've got my cheerleaders out here on the third row, so it passes. It's 30 minutes. Just make it up as you go was the way I. Okay. We'll set the calendar for tomorrow, the 27th day. Under modified open, HB 381. Any opposed? It's on modified open, HB 614. Any opposed? Under modified open, HR 502.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. Under modified structure, HB 166. Any opposed? It's on. Under modified structure, HB 773.
Move.
Any opposition? It's on. Under modified structure, HB 806. Any opposition? It's on. Modified structure, HB 838.
Move.
Y'all are all moving on that one, correct? Okay. its own. Under modified structure, HB 874. Any opposition? Its own. Under modified structure, HB 916. Any opposition? Its own. Under modified structure, HB 948. Any opposition? Its own. Under modified structure, HB 949. Any opposition? Its own. Under modified structure, HB 980.
Move.
Any opposition? How many is that? 12?
12, yes, sir.
That's enough.